What's up, Dynamite Squad? Season's greetings. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. If you are new here, take a moment there and subscribe down below, and also hit the bell button right next to it so you do not miss any of my uploads. Okay, season's greetings, Merry Christmas in advance. I mean, it's in a couple of days. Okay, so let's just jump right into the video. So recently I trimmed my hair and my ends have been the happiest. So today's video is going to be signs that it's time for you to trim your hair, signs that it is trim season. Okay, so the very first thing is your ends tangle a lot. Okay, your ends tangle a whole lot. If you notice that your detangling session is taking too long to detangle, more than the usual time, your ends tangle a whole lot, detangling session is much more difficult, and you notice that you need more conditioner than usual to detangle your hair, then it is time for you to trim. The second thing is that your ends do not stay moisturized. Okay, no matter how much you moisturize your hair or apply a moisturizer, it just does not stay moisturized. Another thing is, when your hair is wet, you have a good feel as to what your hair actually feels like. You have a good feeling of what your hair feels like. Okay, so when your hair is wet and the ends tend to be rough and not as smooth as the middle and the roots, then your ends need to go. Okay, and that is why I actually like to trim my hair when it's wet. I do not trim my hair when it's dry and all of that. If you haven't seen my trim routine that I just recently did, where I trim my hair without straightening it or blowing it out, I do not trim my hair in twists either. If you haven't seen that, I will link it in the iCards above. That is why I trim my hair wet, because then I can have a good feeling as to what is dry and dead and rough and needs to go. Okay, that's tip number 2. Now for tip number 3, you have a lot of single strand knots and split ends. Single strand knots, also known as split ends, they are actually a common feature of Afro textured hair. Okay, it's just normal. You cannot get rid of all of them. But as a natural, the amount, what is actually normal for your hair. Okay, but when you begin to have an excessive amount of them, or you encounter an unusual amount of them when you're doing your hair, it means that your hair, is in need of a trim. It means that your ends need to go, or else they will keep bringing other hair strands into the knot, and before you know it, you have a whole lot of knot tangles, and then you have to cut off more than you should. And then you also notice split ends. When you notice split ends, please trim it off. Do not keep it, because they will keep splitting. Okay, they will just keep splitting, and by the time they split, one side tangles up with another hair strand, another side tangles up with another hair strand. So it's like a whole vicious cycle. It does not end. Please trim off split ends. You will be happier. Okay, so the 4th thing is that your hair is thin in twist and does not curl. With Afro textured hair, it's kind of difficult to see the ends being thin when you have your hair in an afro. But when you twist up your hair, when your hair is in twist, it's easier to see thin ends. See ends, or see your hair where it's beginning to thin out. And also when you twist your hair and it doesn't curl like it normally does, then it means that your ends need to go. It means that it's time for you to trim. Do not hang on to split ends. Do not hang on to dead ends, because girl, do not. They will just keep splitting, and they will keep breaking off and making your hair look bad, look terrible. The fifth thing is that you need to trim when you have chemical or heat damage, whether it's color damage or heat damage. You just have to go. As much as we want to hold on to that length, there is just a bit that needs there. It comes to a time that it just that this particular hair, it needs to go because it doesn't look good. It's not healthy for your hair. And one thing that I have noticed with damaged ends is that it does not stay in one place. It keeps traveling upwards and upwards and upwards until it gets to damage all other parts of your hair. So when you have heat damage or chemical damage or any type of damage you notice at your ends, it's better to trim it off at an early stage, or else you will actually have to trim off or cut off more than you actually should. Okay, so that is it for today's video. I just wanted to jump in and give you like 5 easy or 5 quick tips or quick signs to know that your hair, it's time for you to trim. I just trimmed my hair and my hair is the happiest it has been in for some time, for some months now. So I've been having tangles and knots and snags, and immediately I trimmed. I was like, what was I waiting for? Okay, so that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me also know, leave me comments down below. Let me also know, how often in a year do you trim? I trim twice a year. I trimmed in May and I trimmed in December. Actually, it was supposed to be November, but things got in the way, but I actually did it in December now. So that is it for today's video. Let me know down below how often you guys trim your hair. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video.